Thank you for that. Hi everyone, I hope you're all feeling well amidst this self-isolation situation. Yeah, my name is Simone and I'm the director of Curious Pencil, and we help corporates improve on their customer experience through bespoke corporate greeting cards. So today I am going to be talking on the power of emotionally connected customers. I think it is quite important actually at this point that we do touch on this, because I was looking at the news. Obviously there's so much going on at the moment, but I was looking at the news, and the whole situation about self-isolation has become a big pill to swallow for a lot of people. And I think that really does tie into the fact that we are connected as human beings, that we are, we crave that emotional connection, we crave to be connected to people. And this is actually a time where we have to find different ways to connect with each other. So it's just really important to talk about the power of emotionally connected customers and how we connect with our customers and how we can do that successfully. So the agenda, what's on the agenda for today? So I'm going to be talking about our story, kind of how I came to be, how our brand kind of came about. And then I'm going to be touching on why emotional connection matters, what is it about emotional connection that's important, and why should we care about that. Then also going to be touching on defining emotional motivators in business. So what are our customers' emotional motivators, and how can we kind of focus on that to make sure that we're delivering a positive outcome. And then finally, I'm going to be talking about ways to humanise our customer experience. So from my experience of working with different companies to improve on their customer experience, how we can humanise that rather than kind of keeping it a one system. So a bit about us and our story. So my background, as I mentioned, I am the director of Curious Pencil. It's a company that creates greeting cards for corporates to improve on their customer experience. Now, we do that through hand illustrated bespoke greeting cards. So whether your company wants to say thank you to your customer, or if you want to say welcome to your new home, if you're a mortgage broker, that kind of thing. So really our company started in retail, as any other card company probably would have started. We started by selling in independent retailers, just selling cards to normal people. We then kind of saw the impact it was having. We had people who had bought our cards reach out to us saying how it's impacted them. Just to give you a bit of a background how we came to be as well. My sister's the artist and myself, I'm a creative writer, so we've joined both of our skills together to create something that impacts on the emotions. And that's kind of how our business came to be. Whilst I was doing that, I was working part-time for a high street bank. I was in the collections department, similar to Katie. It's funny when she mentioned actually, because we dealt with a wealth of customers who are struggling to make their mortgage payments. So we really, well, I say we, I really had to kind of deal with many different situations, from people who actually felt suicidal, to people who over Christmas they might have forgot about the mortgage payment or missed it, to kind of people who have really kind of maybe lost their job, and then people who maybe just mismanage their money but they might be quite wealthy. So we dealt with a wealth of people, with a wealth of situations, but all in their individual circumstance. They felt like their situation was the most important thing and the only thing that mattered in the world, which really, as much as we do care about other people, there is a part of us that do, when we speak to companies, we kind of think about ourselves first and foremost. So there was no point of me saying kind of, oh, we're really going to deliver this for you, we're going to do that for you. Really, they just want you to know, look, how can you help me? This is my situation. A lot of the customers that we spoke to, they felt like coming to the bank, it's like a brick wall. A lot of people have this perception that a bank is kind of like, they have no feelings, they don't care, they just want your money. So it was a lot about peeling back those layers and connecting with the people on a different level to actually kind of open them up and then allow to peel back those layers to actually get to the root cause. So I eventually got to the stage where I'm actually speaking to a lot of my customers and delving in a deeper way to them, where they would actually ask specifically for myself because of the way that I dealt with things. I then went on to being a mortgage advisor, which is the opposite side of things. Customers are extremely happy. They've just bought their new home. You know, that's the only thing they're thinking about. So I needed to learn a way to celebrate that with them. A lot of the time in our bank culture, and obviously working for a large company, it was very much, people knew about NPS scores. They knew about, okay, I want my customer to say they're extremely satisfied with my service, but they really didn't have that connection. So there was a way that people kind of cursed some of the scores in the way where they say, oh, can you just say that you're extremely satisfied with my service? But when you actually spoke to the customers, you can tell there was a disconnect. And a lot of my customers that I spoke to, they said they felt like a number. So I wanted to bridge that gap. It got to the point where I had a light bulb moment and I thought, wow, actually there's a gap there where we can actually send something out personal to the customer to say, kind of, welcome to your new home, or something to connect the dots. So since that point, we've been kind of going down that route of working with different companies to improve on their customer experience. So why do we exist? So to connect people in an otherwise disconnected world, to add a bit of old school appreciation in a world where things have gone digital, and making the world smile one person at a time. So these are some of the companies that we've worked with. And what really makes us different is that we're built on family, our creativity. We only use premium textured card, hand illustrated design, and bespoke to your company needs. Personal service from start to end, and forest friendly. These are some of the designs that we've done for some of our clients. And in terms of this one here, this was a nuclear company, and it's funny how that came about, because we was working with a recruitment agency initially, and created cards for their clients when they got a new job. Now the person who got that job, they reached out to us and they said, I received this card, really impacted me, and I just really wanted to reach out to you and see if there's anything that you can do for our customers. So it really did, it just shows the power of kind of connecting with your customers, because they, when I had the meeting with them, they still have that card, and there's still, you know, it's something that is quite important to them, and something that they've still got. So number two, kind of why emotional connection matters. So we are hardwired as human beings to be emotional. We've got this emotional tendency about us. And this, I'm sure many of you have seen this, but Maslow's human hierarchy of needs, it talks about the different things that are important to us, starting with self-actualization, esteem, love and belonging. Then it goes into safety and psychological. Now, the top three are all very emotion driven, whether we realize it or not. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough. Whether we realize it or not, we are emotional beings, and it will be silly to ignore that with your customers. So being emotionally connected to your brand, for customers to be emotionally connected to your brand, it is essential. Humans still rely heavily on emotions when making decisions. That was from a Harvard business study. And 90% of purchasing decisions are made subconsciously, based on emotion rather than logic. Now that is quite staggering, 90%. A lot of us don't realise that, but we are using some kind of subconscious, whether it's emotion or, you know, we do, it's not all about the practicalities of the purchase. I feel, therefore I buy. Now, I want you to think about, like, well, when I think, I'm sure you've all heard of that phrase, like, when we're hungry, we shouldn't go food shopping. I'm sure we've all heard of that. I know I am guilty for doing that. But they say, you know, if you're hungry and you go food shopping, then you're just going to buy out the shop. You're going to buy everything and you'll be like, I need that, I need that, I need that. But actually that's because you feel, therefore you buy. So it's not that we want our customers to be senseless, but we want to connect to their heart because we make them feel a certain way. They want to buy from us. And the same with retention. So because we've made them feel a certain way, they want to continue to stay a loyal customer to us. So I've got some stats here for you. 300% of people are more likely to recommend you if they're emotionally engaged. 44% less likely to shop around. Emotionally engaged people are 44% less likely to shop around. They're also 33% less price sensitive. So if you had to increase your price, to be honest, if they're loyal to your company, they're thinking, well, you know, I'm going to buy it anyway. So also they're 300 times more likely to become a repeat customer and 70% more likely to spend twice as much, which tells us price is not everything. We should be focusing on our connection to our customers. Most of our memories are driven by emotions, good or bad. So a lot of the time, say, I've got some pictures here. We've got a wedding here, getting married, jumping out of a plane, things like that. These are all emotions that have been driven, these are all memories that have been driven from emotion. I remember when I jumped out the plane and then this happened and I felt like this, I felt like that. They're all things that they've been driven from a feeling and from an emotion. And a lot of the time people can't remember all the little parts of, if we went skydiving, you're not going to remember every single part of that, of the day, but you might remember the feeling of how it felt to jump out of a plane. So how are you connecting with your customer's emotion? Are you memorable? Are you giving that feeling? Are you giving them an emotion when they connect with your brand? Defining the emotional motivators. So I've listed 10 of the most common emotional motivators. So obviously there's hundreds of emotional motivators, but some of them are listed here. So if your customer wants to feel a sense of belonging, we need to make them feel a part of the group, a part of a group. If they want to feel a sense of thrill, then we need to kind of give them that experience, pleasure, excitement, that type of thing. So it's really looking at your customers and what do they actually desire? What is it that motivates them emotionally, and having a look into your customer segments and seeing what really drives them and how you can fulfill that motivator. Likewise here, I've got a bit of an analogy of where the sweet spot is. So we've got customers' emotional motivators, and then we've got the customer's business motivators, and then our brand. So really we should be connecting the emotional motivators from the customer and the business motivators and your brand. So then we've got that sweet spot. So making your brand important to your customer. In terms of customer, there's a customer emotional pathway. So there's different steps really in the emotional journey with the customer. So initially they might feel completely unconnected. So it might be a case where they've just come to you because it's price driven or it's an immediate need, but there's no true commitment. And then there's the next step, which is being satisfied. So they might be happy with your service, but there's nothing really memorable. There's no other attachment other than the confidence in the initial purchase. Perceiving your brand's differentiation. So understanding why your brand is different. So they've now come to a stage potentially where your brand, they know why you're different and they can articulate that reason why. And then there's a sweet spot, which is where they are fully connected with your brand. Now that's what we want for our customers. We want your customers to be fully committed fans, advocates for your company. So streamlining the decision journey. So a normal classic kind of decision journey, we've got kind of the customer will come to us, they'll consider, then they'll evaluate, they might consider again, and then they'll buy. But really it's about shortening that journey, and the way that we can do that is by connecting with them on another level other than just the initial sale. Okay, so starting from the actual consideration to buying, then enjoying, then being an advocate, and then bonding. So that is something that shortens the journey, and it's just an easier route. So it's important to focus on actually connecting with your customers. So humanizing your customer experience. So we have to think of our customers as people and not as numbers. And I'm sure you've probably heard it a lot, but it surprises me that brands still do think of customers as numbers. And there's an element of, yeah, okay, we need to kind of analyze our data. We do need to analyze our customers, but at the same time, our customers are people. They have family, they have friends, they have their own situations going along, and it's about connecting with them on that level, and doing that through educating your team, making sure that there's a morale in your team, there's a way of thinking in your team, or your employees, to make sure that they are focused not only on just getting this sale or telling them what they want to hear, but actually connecting with the customer and being like, actually, you know, I can connect with that. I understand what you're saying. I appreciate that. I'm sorry to hear that, that kind of thing. Ask questions. So often we are so quick to talk, and we've all heard that phrase, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's for a reason. So we've got to ask questions, but then listen to your customers, not just to give a premeditated answer or to fit them into your agenda, but really to listen. And it's so important to listen to our customers, listen to what they're saying, see how we can actually help. And if we can't help, let's be honest about that. Because the worst thing would be to drive them into a box that they don't fit in, and then it's just going to cause more issues and more problems. So it's all about just focusing on, actually, what are you saying? Let me listen to you. You are not the same as every other person that I've listened to. Let's see how I can help you with your particular circumstance or whatever it is in your situation. Balancing AI and the human touch. Now, I guess we're getting to the point where there's so much happening around us at this situation now, where we're all looking at our businesses and trying to kind of reshape them and see how we can get creative using AI, and kind of making sure we're all online, that type of thing. But even today, like today, we've managed to do a session, but it's important that we've got the human touch. You're able to see, feel, hear, well, not feel us, but see and hear us. So it's important that the human touch is still there in our communications, in the way that we speak with our customers. Genuinely celebrate with the customers in the times of success and sympathise with them in the times of difficulty. So again, there are going to be times where, you know, your customers, like I said, it might be a big purchase, like I said, working in the mortgage industry, buying a house, getting a new job. It might be something where it's just their birthday or something like that, or little things where they may have had a success in something. If you know that in your customer journey, you need to celebrate with them in a genuine way. If they do have times of difficulty, you need to sympathise with them as well, and think about creative ways how you can do that with your customers. And a quote that I love is, people will forget what you say and do, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And that's so, so important. And in this time, let's start from a human first point of view, and the rest will follow. So to contact me, my details are there, and also if you want any free samples of greeting cards or what we can do for your company, then you can follow that link there and it will take you to find out more. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant, Simone. Thank you for sharing that. There's a lot of stats you had in there which are really interesting. Would you mind just going back to the one with the decision making, the percentages?
Yeah.
Well, that was really good, that one was. And whilst we're waiting for some Q&A to come up, keep going, keep going, keep going.
This one.
Keep going. This one.
Yeah.
I thought this was a really good stat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think sometimes we forget it can be put on a back burner, but it's so important. Even the stats speak for themselves. You know, how important it is to focus on customers, and we've all heard that phrase, kind of people do business with people. No matter how kind of technically advanced we become, we still want to connect with a person. We hate that bot that comes up and just like, you know, says what it needs to say. But I think it's important that we delve deeper than that and implement ways to just add a little bit more of a personal touch. Yeah.
So I'll put you on the spot then, because one of the questions that came up when you shared this slide was from Enek Khan from London. So her question was, how can we emotionally connect with customers in this social distancing period? It's a tricky one to think about. I don't know if you had a thought about that whilst we wait for the other questions to come through.
Yeah, it is difficult, because I think we're all finding our feet at this time. But I think what the thing that we need to remember is that we're all human. So it's just about being honest. You know, if there is issues and whatnot, that you can connect with your customer and be like, you know what, this is a hard time. We are going through this together. You know, even that in itself really kind of speaks loudly, because there's a lot of people that I think I've seen a lot of brands that have been very honest about it, and it just kind of heightens that kind of, oh, you're not just a logo. You know, you're genuine, you understand. So it's about that, but also about our communication. So what we're saying, how we're saying it, and how we can personalize that to the people that we're to our customers.
Perfect. Okay, so let's take a couple of questions. Can you see the questions in the Q&A box?
Oh, hold on.
Probably come right down to the bottom.
Hold on, let's see. Oops, it's not opening.
Okay, well, let me call them out anyway. We've got a question from Nathraj again. Hi, Simone. We are practically dealing with soft skills here. What would be the training recommended for people in terms of getting those skills, and also how would you measure the return on that as well?
Okay, so my standpoint, and obviously my background, I'm not claiming to be a complete expert in this, but what I am teaching is skills that from working on the front line with customers, that I've noticed. So it's about training your staff to make sure that there's a coherent kind of message that they're delivering, but also it's in terms of like measuring things, it would be a case of in some ways the technology that we've got in terms of NPS scores, but also looking at your sales. Have your sales increased? You know, looking at different areas of your business. Has there been more engagement online? And just measuring it in that way. So that's what I'd say.
Okay, perfect. Ali's question is, hi Simone, in your view, what are the what are the best customer motivators which can create repeat purchase frequencies or long-term loyalty?
Okay, let's go back to them.
What are the best ways in which to motivate your staff to create repeat purchase and loyal customers? So
it would depend on the business, to be honest. For us personally, it has been a sense of showing that we care. So a connection in where we show that we care, so that they can care with their customers. So whether it's we work with estate agents, it may be a case where they want to show that they care in that respect. So in terms of motivators, it would depend on the business. So like I said, it might be a case of say with automotives, there's sometimes a buyer's remorse when they purchase a car. There's a buyer's remorse. We have to make sure that they feel secure. We have to make sure that they feel secure. So it might be that. It might be some people millennials are very much about the environment as well. So it might be a case where actually, do you know what, I need to focus more on my wording in terms of the environment and how I can make them feel that sense of connection to that. So yeah, I've got the list of the most common emotional motivators there, but I guess it does depend on your company as well.
Perfect. And again, you could tie that in with Hertzberg's hygiene factors and things like that, couldn't you?
Yeah.
No, so great. Okay, last question. So from Narinda, thank you, Simone. Great principles around delighting customers. So are there some general principles about delighting customers going above and beyond their expectations? So do you want to maybe give one example of something you'd suggest in how we can make sure we go above and beyond someone's expectations, a customer's expectations, maybe?
Yeah, there's the standard principles that I always think is like keeping to your promises and things like that. Going above people's expectations, I always think that the surprise element is always good. So when a customer is surprised, kind of when they least expect it, you've kind of reached out to them in that way. Obviously we do that through the cards, but there's different ways to do that. So it's just about kind of going beyond in a way to kind of so if you've asked me for something and I've just kind of gone beyond that, sorry, I'm trying to work it out, but yeah, that's what I'd say.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so great. Thank you very much, Simone. Really good session again. Simone's contact details are there, and I guess she talked about her particular product, but she also talked about the general concept of connecting with your customers.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our next speaker.